Our quote of the day. Let's now bring your word of the day.
Today's word is D-I-V-U-L-G-E. You can either say divulge or divulge. It's a verb. Divulge or divulge means to make something secret known. That is to reveal something that is a secret. Let's exemplify it. Members of the investigative committee were told not to divulge their sources. Divulge.
Journalists do not divulge their sources, right? Yeah, so that's our word of the day. You know that every morning here on the show, we try to help you improve your English language writing and speaking. So please look out for it every day here on the show. It's now time for our video of the day. Back to the show. Keep it sexy this morning. Those of you who are going to celebrate Valentine, those of us who celebrate Valentine, those of you who celebrate Valentine, Booles gang, we are celebrating Valentine. And those of you with booze, you celebrate Valentine. So while you're celebrating your Valentine, keep it sexy. It's not time for Inside Out. So on Inside Out this morning, yesterday I spoke briefly about struggle to cross that particular stream, to have access to education. Government has moved in to fix that particular situation. Let's watch the story.
In West Achem, Eastern region, lies Esuoko, a farming community that has recently captured the nation's attention due to the daily struggle of 8 children risking their lives to cross this river just to get an education. This is the reality. Every morning, these children face this perilous journey, balancing a falling tree across the river as a makeshift bridge with no guarantee of safety due to absence of a footbridge. Accessing education is not just a right, it is a risk they had to endure, live their dream of becoming military officers. The story of these children in Esuoko reached the highest level of leadership when President John Mahama came across the viral video. Moved by the children's plight, he pledged immediate action, tasked the MP for the area and Eastern Regional Minister Rita Kusia-Jiawate to visit the community. The minister was joined by the engineering unit of the Ghana Armed Forces.
We are here today to tell the people of Esuoko that our president has seen their plight, the defense ministry has seen their plight, and living here, we are leaving them with one word, that we are a government that deliver on our promise. So living here is not just like leaving them. Very soon the project will be started and the people of Esuoko are going to have their children crossing this river in peace to go out and come back.
Parents of the children are grateful to the president. Perhaps the determination of these two pupils of Esuoko Methodist Basic School is fueled by a story like Thomas Amweni, a young man from Esuaba, a nearby community. Thomas Amweni defied the odds, scoring 8 A's at Ades Usina High School in 2020, earning a scholarship to study at Brunel University in the United Kingdom, where he bagged first-class honors in 2023-2024 academic year.
We got a little bit interaction with the guy, how bravery he was. I've even done 2 of this when we were campaigning. So once this one has catches the eye of the president, I think they are going to do it better and better off, so that it will be an alternative road. Because on the major road, whenever they use that major road, they have a whole lot of incidents which are not good. Car knocking them down because the pedestrians are worried. So they choose here as an alternative and a better one for them.
Reporting for GHOne TV and Star FM, Kojo Answer, Esuoko, Eastern Region.
You know, these situations are not isolated. How many of these episodes exist across the country? How many of us know communities that are grappling with such situations? And how many of these communities have opinion leaders, have chiefs, have assembly members, have MCs and DCs to the attention of the top man at the job to get to the presidency for this to be fixed? Why do we always sit as a country and wait till things deteriorate before we get to fixing it? Why are we such a knee-jerk reaction country? Why do we allow children that we claim are future leaders go through this? These are pupils that will be competing with children from Morning Star and the likes, and yet we expect better. And I saw that the regional minister was quick to move in. Prior to she becoming regional minister, I'm sure that during the campaign period, during the electioneering period, she moved the nook and cranny of that particular region. She didn't see this. This is not the first time. We are such a shameful bunch of people. Kudos to the regional minister, kudos to the president for coming in. But does this fix the problem across the country? We should be ashamed of ourselves. That's it for Inside Out. So Inside Out is done. We're in court now. Captain has joined me a lot to discuss this morning.
Saturday, okay. Lunchtime, 12:45. In fact, we will kickstart. In fact, there's a Valentine's Day action. I think it's involving Chelsea, on which we know the outcome already. And they're united in the mix. But we'll deal with them later.
Anyway, all right, we're in court.
Yes, Lily, we are in court, and also in respect of court-related issues. Yesterday at the presidency, we saw a lot of action, especially with regards to oral. Yes.
Manasseh says they are called Okal.
I read a very long article from him.
Yes.
And he's a good writer.
He is.
He speaks
his can't
mind
take that away
and
from
all
him.
of that. And I'm sure that when he makes that clear, everybody that is involved, you need to find your place and then do the needful. I'm sure it's in relation to the mass withdrawal of some political cases and all of that. But of course, the law is what the law. And if you follow the kind of things that they were saying, the NDC was saying in opposition, it will not surprise you at all. But something that there should be some reasons assigned to some of these things so that people will be clear in their mind and all.
So it is not as though we criticized former President Akufo-Addo for being a clearing agent, and then there's a new sheriff who has also become a clearer.
In the eyes of the law, you understand what is happening. It is not a good, in fact, a news at all. It is not something that is new to what is happening. But the manner in which it is happening, they feel that at least for anything at all, give us reasons. We know the issue about Oliver Barker and then the 53 others in relation to the
democracy.
Absolutely, that one in the minds of everybody, it is clear. We also know about Dr. Simikono, Punikoko board and all of that. But in relation to others, they felt that give us reasons why. But the OG, yesterday we talked about the powers given to the Attorney General to ruin. Things ought to be looked at in a certain way, and of course, I'm happy that there's a constitutional review committee that will have to review some of portions of the constitution and all of that. So those things will come to the fore. Just as I'm talking to you about the oral. So yesterday they presented a whole lot document, over 200 plus. Information that they said they had to the president. The president in turn handed it over to the Attorney General in the matter. So that's how come we are talking about that particular issue here and all of that. So let's hear from the president, John Dramani.
Strong warning. Ghana is no longer a safe haven for corruption. To those who stand for integrity, accountability, and the rule of law, I assure you that this government remains your steadfast partner in building a nation where honesty and hard work are rewarded. As we receive this report, let me assure the Ghanaian people that the work does not end here. The recommendations of the report will be carefully studied, and where legal action and investigations are warranted, they will be pursued without fear or favor. Every peso recovered will be channeled back into national development, and mechanisms will be strengthened to prevent such losses in the future. I have promptly handed over the report to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, and I give him firm instructions to commence immediate investigations into the cases reported in here with a view to prosecuting anyone found liable for corruption or related offenses.
Okay, so that is the President, John Dramani Mahama, tasking the Attorney General to review, to investigate the matter, and then those found culpable are prosecuted in the whole of that. But there's one person who's also involved in this particular oral team, the committee. That's a private legal practitioner.
Martin Pebu, right?
Pebu, yes, and he's been very vocal in all of that. He's been
before being a member of the oral, I mean, he's been very vocal. He's very critical of government appointees, especially in the SWAL administration.
Yes, he did. And in fact, with the respect of the kind of withdrawal that are coming, is one person who's also calling for explanation of a sort, why some cases are being dropped, why null prosecutions are being filed and all that. And as a legal practitioner, he knows that these things are not unusual, though, but at some point in time, Ghanaians want to know what is happening. He has also been speaking because he's a member of the oral committee, and he's been giving us something, the expectation of the document that has been handed over for further investigation and possible prosecution.
The reports were handed over to him, so he promised to do what? Look into them. So the ones that he finds meritorious, he will do full-blown investigations, and then from there, once he gets more evidence to back up, or proper evidence to back up, then he's going to court. So that is good. So my expectation is that the Attorney General will work on the files, on the reports we've given, and then from there, investigations, and then prosecution, so that we hold those who have looted this country accountable.
Can we do that in record time?
Well,
President Mahama has 4 years.
Yeah, you have a point that yes, for some of the cases, naturally, because our justice system, the due process embedded in our justice system is such that sometimes it allows cases to travel years. Yeah, so the Attorney General is looking at judicial reforms. So one of the ways to go about it is that they will set up specialized courts, so that judge will be relieved of all other cases. So his cases are, let's say, maybe 10 oral cases. Another judge has 10 oral cases. So that's his job. So there is something to say daily hearings. You see, in the last administration, some of the cases, Judge Kwesi's case, and the judge started doing daily hearings. Namwan's case, at a point we heard they were doing daily hearings. That's the cases to be heard every day. There's a third case where that one today did daily hearings. So daily hearings are known to us. That is what the Attorney General will be applying for, and hopefully the judges that will be in charge of the cases will agree, so that they will do daily hearings. And also, let's not forget that the cases that went to court, those people sweated 8 years. It was a lot of headache. So I'm sure now that they are back in government, they are wiser. So they'll be more careful, because for those who went to court 6.5 years, some 3 years, 2 years, and then some 7.5 at 2 and co, all of them. I'm sure by now they've learned a lot of sense. So even though there's no conviction, but they've learned it practically, how to stay clear of certain decisions you want to approve. You watch your back, left, right, center, cross all the T's and dot all the I's. So we are wiser for it. It's moved us forward.
So that is the celebrated Martin Pebu. When you go to court, one thing about lawyer Martin Pebu is that when you go to court, and with respect to criminal matters, and when issues of bail are concerned, it is Martin Pebu as Attorney General everywhere.
With his coolie high.
The reason is that we're trying to have cool. So every court that you go in relation to criminal matter, Martin Pebu was the Attorney General number 2 in all of it, because that was the issue that he took to court in relation to the grant of bail and how the court should operate and all of that. So virtually every time when there are issues in relation to that, that particular case was cited. So his name is everywhere. So he's part of oral, and he's made that a point that the expectation is high, and I expect that actions will be taken. Some probably should be a daily hearing, because we are looking at John Dramani Mahama having only a term, that's 4 years. We know some of the cases travel beyond 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, and all of that. But he is making the point that some should not last long, others so short, mid, and then long term. Look at all those things, that totality and all that. So that is in relation to Aura. Now the Attorney General has the files. He will look at it, and then we'll know the next line of action. Yes.
Yesterday I saw a particular post from the wife of late JB Dankwa to Ivy Howard Mills, and
yes,
I mean, she's calling our parliament.
What do you make of that post? I'm sure you've read it.
Yes, I did. I did. And I mean, as a woman, I felt her pain. But like they say, the wheels of justice grind slowly, right? What will be the role of Parliament in the delivery of justice?
Absolutely. So it's one of the things that we are looking at this morning. So have the directors who project that particular post on the screen, then we can go through without. But I read the post and I look like I have a challenge with the tone and the manner in which. So that is the post on your screen, and let me just go through and then so that was yesterday. And yesterday, this incident happened on the 16th, on the 20th, in fact, 2016, the February 8th, 2016. And today is February
11.
So that's about 9 years into this. Yesterday, he posted, "Good morning, Parliament of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Aban S.K. Babwin. Then Majority Leader, Honorable Mahama Ayariga. Minority Leader, Alexander Kwamina Afenyo, Marking, and all honorable MPs. Respectfully, you have been silent. In June 2016, Joe Cox, British MP, was murdered in London. The House of Commons and the House of Lords were not silent. By November of the same year, John Cox's murderer had been found, tried, convicted, and sentenced, all in 5 months. It didn't bring her back, but it gave her family peace and closure. 9 years is a long time, but let it not be said that 10 years went by and Parliament looked on unperturbed. Please accept the assurance of my highest consideration." And they have the picture of the Speaker of Parliament and the late husband, or the late Member of Parliament, JB Dankwa Edu. And this is a case that is still pending. Remember that last year, a 7-member jury panel returned a 4-3 verdict in favor of Sexy Dondon, Daniel Esiedu, Gucci Youngstar, not guilty. And that means there's not a conclusive decision. So the case have to go for a retrial. Now, I have an issue with this particular, the tone and the way the wife is making the whole thing look like Parliament is sitting. The wheels of justice grind slowly, we are told. But to prove your case as witnesses, prosecution will have to prove their case with witnesses, and witnesses that have substance.
Exactly.
Witnesses that have information. We were told countless times in court by some prosecution witness and even the investigator in the matter that when the incident happened, the wife of the late JB Dankwa Edu was at home when the police officers were around, went to the room of JB Dankwa, came out. He came out from her room, peeped at them, asked them what was happening, and the police said everything will be okay. All these things were made in open court. Prosecution called 8 witnesses to come and testify. Not for once did I followed that particular case religiously. Not for one day did I ever see the wife in court. Not even the day that they were about to return the verdict.
Oh, really?
Not for once. And she could be a very substantial, a witness of a substance
in this case
to help the jury, to clear doubts in the minds of the jury. And the jury, once they have doubts about the kind of witness evidence that you lead, there's no way they will convict the accused person in it. And one of the reasons that Daniel Esiedu is still not convicted is because somebody like the wife of JB Dankwa Edu, who were told was present at the scene, because was not in court to testify. Why did she not come to testify? Because she has information. We were told that the kids were at home They didn't come to court to testify. The grandmother.
Well, are they not minors?
If they are minors, that is why their story even become more of a reality than anything that you can come. And there's a way that when minors want to testify, they accommodate them in chambers, not in open court.
Okay.
And you know that when a child says something, 99.9% it is the truth. There's no way a child will lie.
Yeah.
My mother said I should tell you that she's not there because she cannot lie. She can't read in between the lines. I felt that if this woman has been in court to testify in this matter, probably that case would have been closed and the justice would have been served. But all the same, the case is still in court. A retrial is on, but it hasn't started yet. Tomorrow, Sexy Dondon will be in court and the lawyers will be moving a bail application for him pending retrial. So for almost 10 years on, the case is on, and then 9 years on, the wife has tweeted something or posted something asking Parliament to stand up because they've been very quiet for a very long time. But the point is that she also had a role to play, which I think that she failed to play that role. Wow. So that's
an interesting point you make there. So that was in relation to the
JB Dankwa
murder.
Yes. Lily, I'm going to ask you a question. You know why we have the hierarchy of the courts? The district court, the circuit court, the high court, the court of appeal, then the Supreme Court. So when you go to the circuit court and you have a decision, it is not in your favor, you go to the high court. If it's a criminal matter, you go to the high court. If it's a civil matter, then you go straight to the court of appeal. Now, this young man, Richard Kluche, was convicted and sentenced for robbery. He was involved in a robbery action. He and a group, we alleged, robbed some ladies in a saloon, took away their cars, robbed them with guns and all of that. They were arrested. The trial went on, and then he and the others were found guilty. Sentenced. You know, the act says that if you are convicted for robbery, for let's say, so we can display the court visuals in there so that you can see. If you are convicted for robbery, and in the course of the act you use offensive weapons, guns, and other stuff, the minimum punishment is 15 years. When you are convicted and jailed, if you are being sentenced, you are tried. The minimum punishment is 15 years. So Richard Kluche was given 15 years as a minimum punishment by the lower court, by the circuit court. And he said that 15 years is too excessive, and so he wants the court to reduce it to the minimum punishment of 10, which include the fact that the action took place without use of offensive weapons. And guess what has happened? He came to court, argued his case to appeal against the 15 years custodial sentence. And when he came, guess what? He has attracted 3 additional years. 3 additional years to the 15. He said the 15 was too much, so he's coming for a reduction. And when he came, he was not lucky. So now he's going for 18 years.
What were the circumstances that required 3 more additional
The
years?
circumstances were to the effect that the trial judge, the judge at the circuit court, when convicting him and sentencing him, considered the fact that he was a first-time offender and the fact that he's shown remorse. The court did not consider the fact that he used offensive weapons, he robbed the victims of their belongings, and those items have not been retrieved as we speak. And so for that matter, if the court is saying that, if the lower court is saying that we are only sentencing you based on the fact that you have showed remorse and the fact that you are a first-time offender, what happened to the items lost by the victims? What happened to the trauma that the accused or the convicts put the victims in? The court said all those things ought to be considered as a mitigation factor by way of the court making a decision. So the court, on its own wisdom, is saying that the trauma suffered by the victims, the items lost by the victims, should attract some additional years. And the court said it is adding 3 years to the 15 that he said he was not satisfied with, and for that matter he's challenging at the Court of Appeal. So he came to challenge 15 years custodial sentence, and now he's attracted 3 additional years, meaning instead of 15 he's going in for 18 years. So before you go to court,
well,
you have to think about, look at all the mathematics and all of that. About 90%.
Was he represented by a lawyer?
He was represented by a lawyer.
And the lawyer could not tease out all these instances to him.
That is where the issues are. So when you are counsel in the matter, you need to make all the information, you need to school your client on all the ramifications and all the consequences of the action that will be taken. And that is why you hear a lot of lawyers, when you ask them questions, they said, I want to take instructions from my client. And so upon the instructions of your client, and some lawyers will tell you, I know that we don't have a case with what you have. If you still want to proceed to go to court, you have to look for another lawyer, because he thinks that you don't have a case. And if you go to a case with that particular, if you go to court with that particular case, the chances are that you are going to suffer a defeat. So Richard Cruce, he went to court for a reduction of 15 years custodial sentence for robbery, but he ended up getting 3 years extra. And so he's going in for 18 years in all. So those of you out there, if you have an issue and you want to go to court, think about it. If you are given a punishment, look at the situation and think, can I deal with it? Because 15 is the minimum for robbery using offensive weapons. He said that is too harsh, and the judge said, "Your victims."
But what did he rob the victim of?
So, one, the ladies were in the salon to go and braid their hair and all of that. And then they robbed them of one of them was driving. So they took away the vehicle. The vehicle involved. They took away the vehicle, and still the vehicle has not been found. They took away their monies, their mobile phones, and other items that were.
So they went into a salon.
Yes.
To attack the ladies.
And then they
robbed them
absolutely
at gunpoint.
At gunpoint.
And then took a car.
Yes, they took away. So the mobile phones and other thing, he went and gave them to his girlfriend, and the girlfriend was using, they track it. I said, where did you get it from? I said, my husband.
When you receive gifts, interrogate them. Hey!
So it was during the track that they realized that, oh, my husband brought it to me. And they have, where is your husband? They have to arrest him. He said that, oh, he bought it. You know those who have been doing the swapping. So he swapped it at Medina. He added 400 cedis to the phone, and then they got him a new phone. So that cannot be a proceed of crime. But of course, when they tried, they noticed that some of the victims managed to identify their face. The matter went on parade. When they arrested them, they paraded them about 9. And he was the one that they fished out. Said, yes, you are the one. You are the one. You are the one. And then they picked him out from the 9. And so the court is saying that it will not be a coincidence that somebody will just see people lying and say that you are the one. But the one risky thing about parade and identification is that if you have the opportunity to avoid those scenes, people look alike. You can easily be a victim of a circumstance. And that will lead me tomorrow when we come. I'll share a similar story with you where somebody also was sentenced for 45 years for robbery. He served 19 years, and it was found that it was wrongful conviction.
Wow.
He wasted 19 years.
Wasted years
in prison. Tomorrow we'll tell you that.
I can't wait to hear that particular story. But let's look at the cases coming up.
Absolutely.
The Abesim Meda, I understand, comes up today in
court. So the Richard Appiah, the Abesim Meda case, for the last 2 sittings, the court was expecting to have the trial began by way of prosecution calling their first witness. It didn't happen at the last court sitting. This today, before Justice Rubiaiti, it is expected that this particular case will start. So Richard Appiah in all white there in the handcuff, one of the sittings being taken away from the premises of the court and all of that. So that's, as you can see. So today he'll be back in court, and then the court will know whether prosecution is ready. There has been an issue with the jurors because they need to get all the jury panel ready. They need to get all the said because they are the judges of fact who will be listening to whatever evidence will be adduced in court, and then the court, they will have to return a verdict. Their decision is what the court will base on to deliver its final judgment. Then, of course, the Ben Lord Abibio's case, the incident that took place at Kaswa
Millennium City,
the soldier that was killed as a result of a land dispute and all of that. So Ben Lord Abibio, self-imposed self-styled chief at Kaswa Millennium City, is in court with another conspiracy to commit murder, and they have pleaded not guilty. But the other accused person has been granted bail. But Ben Lord Abibio is still in lawful custody because the court has refused to grant him bail. He's filed a repeat bail application, and today before Justice Kizita Nako Akwashi, the court will hear him and then will know whether his request will be granted or not. So on court today, this is what we have to serve you this morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Captain. So that's Captain Mutala Yunusa with court today.
To avail the military.
Let's now take a look at what the newspapers are reporting this morning. I begin with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Act on oral report. President directs Attorney General. FDA leads 7 African regulators to foster trust, accelerate access to medicine, sign anti-LGBTQ plus bill into law. National Ramadan Conference urges government. Government IMF commence meeting on policy direction and 2025 budget. The Daily Searchlight says Mahama receives showboating oral report, sets agenda to cause major financial loss to Ghana. Minority caucus withdraws from Bagwin's Confucian Committee, allege buyers ad hoc committee over. I'll skip that. Good move. Mahama orders bridge construction at Isioko community to facilitate access to school. 2 Nigerian businessmen in court over alleged $20,000 fraud. That's it for the Daily Searchlight. The Daily Dispatch. Only 9% say they trust Parliament a lot. That's according to a 2024 survey. Oral is better than Commission of Inquiry. NDC's head of legal affairs. He's also the acting CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, Godwin Aduji Tamiklo. NP gives background to the daughter of I'm sure you heard, the daughter of a Medra comment in Parliament. Yeah. That's it for the Daily Dispatch. The new crusading guide, don't cancel nursing and teacher trainee allowances, NPP to Mahama. CSO's call for urgent reforms in Ghana's petroleum sector. A notice of stolen Toyota Corolla S. That's a story on page 10. Tension looms at Prestia Sankofa gold mines as NDC youth chase out MD. Manasseh Azure jabs Mahama, describing him as chief clearing agent. The Chronicle. Dreaded oral reports ready. There's fire on the mountain. Mahama snubs Bolga Adam Smith. That's a question on the front page of the Chronicle. His name still missing from a list of ministers. Matthew 10:24. And if anyone will not receive you or listen to your words, shake off the dust from your feet when you leave that house or town. Collins Dala is a hypocrite. NDC also left behind 7.8 million debt. That's according to Ahmed Bana. The Daily Graphic. President directs action on oral cases, implements child online protection policy. Activists demand ahead of Internet Safety Day. Okada legalization process begins. All set for Council of State elections today. The Daily Post. Commence immediate probe into oral report. Mahama orders Attorney General. Government can't be wasting public's time and resources. Kwachio Fosu justifies this continuation of court cases. Justice, not endless trials, that's according to Kweku Azar, as he spoke on dropped prosecutions. Council of State election today, why Tanko Kwamega must win to represent the Volta region. And so that's it for the newspapers this morning. You can grab a copy on your favorite newsstand. So you can simply go online. You log on to their websites and read the stories on those portals as well. We take a break here. When we return, our guests are in. We'll discuss national issues. My guests are seated this morning. I've been joined by Kwesi Kwarteng Esquire, a private legal practitioner. He's also a member of the New Patriotic Party. Wanda Madilo is a policy analyst and a member of the National Democratic Congress, and Kwame Jantoa Esquire. Today I have Wanda. Are you a lawyer too?
Yeah, to be
okay. Any law be super. Kwame Jantoa Esquire is a private legal practitioner and a leading member of the Convention People's Party. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
How have we all been? President, I haven't seen you in 2 weeks.
Yes. You know, good morning to our viewers. My fellow panelists. You know the piece that you showed on the little boy who
the so-called.
Yes. Who crossed.
Yeah.
What was so significant in that piece?
The fact that it's a child crossing. What was it?
The color.
Well.
The color. That means Galamsey too is in that area. Means the people have to drink that.
True.
So if we are going to have a bridge, let's find a way of reducing
The incidence of
that child who crossed on the plank, what would have happened if he fell into that water? Little brother fell into that water. So you can see that the huge challenges that is facing not only this country but all of us.
Sure.
All of us are part and parcel of sorting the challenges. So it's quite obvious to me that
you think we're nowhere near 50% in the fight against Galamsey? You think so? You think all the efforts put in by the SWAL administration?
The fighting of Galamsey is being able to clear our water bodies. It's not the fight against Galamsey, it is the impact of Galamsey on our land and
water bodies.
That's what the challenge is. So you can stop Galamsey.
But what happens to...
That for me, that's the challenge.
Okay, so let's unpack the issues. Yesterday, the Oral Committee presented their report to President John Dramani Mahama, who in turn handed them over to the Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Akwatenga. Let me take your thoughts. Kwesi, let me start with you.
Okay, thank you very much, and then good morning to you, to my seniors and panelists, and of course to the general public out there. I think for me, if you have followed my social media conversations from day one, I have had, quite a major problem with the creation of ORA. And not because I am against the whole doctrine of probity and accountability, or I'm against the fight against corruption. But my argument has always been that if it has to be done, it has to be done right. And of course, I am on record to have even, for purpose of education, acts on the authority upon which the then private person, of course, current president set up the ORA. I think we've moved from that stage. Whether we like it or not, it's symbolic. It demonstrates a commitment to fight some kind of corruption. So most of the times when you more or less argue within the legal framework, people might even see you in a very different way. But whichever way, I maintain that every actions that we undertake have to be situated within the proper legal framework, so that we don't set a precedent where in the future we may have to be wanting. But having said that, for me, I don't really have any problem when legitimately there are processes to recover loot. I am a Ghanaian in the first place before I became a member of the New Patriotic Party.
Sure.
And so if people have had the opportunity to serve in public offices and they've misconducted themselves, they've appropriated state properties dishonestly, why not? I will back calls for such a person to bring back what belongs to the state. And so all efforts to recover same, something that I may comment on the face value. But my concern is that matters like this, first of all, should not be more or less used like a PR tool. If you do that, chances are that you will lose the relevance of what you are doing. And we will recover $24.4 billion. I mean, Mr. Blackwell, and if you ask me the whole NDC should tone down on this, because you see, it's a matter of prosecution, and the Constitution is very clear that even any accused will be presumed innocent until proven guilty in a competent court of jurisdiction. So, in as much as I agree with them that on the surface of it, they may appear to be doing something, they may want to appear to be fighting corruption. We also have to be mindful the expectations that people are also raising, so that at the end of the day, people go through the legal system. The court maybe do not find them guilty. Then issues of we've manipulated the court, we don't trust the court system, will also come in. But having said that, my major concern has to do with also, for me, more or less the dishonest position that has also been taken by this government. If indeed you have a genuine cause to fight corruption, you have to introduce a comprehensive and detailed approach of fighting corruption. But when it becomes only peculiar and restricted to only a particular group of people, i.e. only a certain political class, what also happens to the civil servants who might have abated and also aided the same corruption, it becomes quite questionable, especially in times and situations where you also take the initiative to discontinue and withdraw cases that you are pursuing or cases that are already in the court. Of course, most of them are also on corruption related matters. On one side, you discontinue those cases, you file null prosequa, you withdraw those cases, and on the other side, you look at in the face of your political opponents and say that for you, I suspect there could be a prima facie case against you, and for that matter, I want to persecute you. I want to prosecute you. In that case, people may not see the genuineness and the honesty in it, and people may construe that to be political persecution. But of course, that is left for the court to decide. But you see, in all these things, we may also have to balance law with morality, because at the end of the day, do you really have the moral right that you clear your own people that are facing trial? What prevents them from going through the full trial? Because if you look at the process of criminal trial, when a prima facie case is established against you, that is where you also come in to file your defense, or you come in to file your case, and then the court makes a final determination on it. Most of them has crossed that stage, so which essentially means that prima facie case has been established against them. So what are you hiding? There are moments that beyond the politics, you don't even give room for people to speculate founded or unfounded opinions about what you are doing. You have started a very legitimate cause. We may have a disagreement with it, but if genuinely you want to fight corruption, on what basis that on one breath you just go and clear your people, and on another breath
was it just clearing? I have seen a piece written by Professor Kwekwaza who said it was just prolonged trials. If for anything at all, some of the cases had traveled 7-8 years. 7-8 years was not enough to secure convictions.
Well, I am of the view that we may have to take them case by case. If we want to plug all of them together, maybe we may just be doing a sweeping and simplistic argument.
Okay.
Is it a case that all of the cases are prolonged for the space of 8 years or 7 years? If that is the logic, then it shouldn't be only people who are in NDC and quote unquote politically exposed people whose case must be dropped. There are cases which have been in court for about 14 years, 12 years, 16 years. Why are we also not filing null prosequa for all of them? Or are some Ghanaians better than other people? Especially when you are not even giving us reasons for why you are discontinuing the case. I know that people will come in with the argument that, well, the AG is not bound or compelled to give reasons. Yes, I agree. Article 88 is very clear that Attorney General can discontinue a case, can withdraw a case without giving any reason. But you see, in the spirit of accountability, in the spirit of transparency, in the spirit of respect for the people that you serve, and of course, good governance, it is only proper. And it also remains a proper practice that matters like this, you give account to the people that I am taking this action because A, B, C, D. Because at the end of the day, you are put there by the people.
And so when you take such decisions unilaterally, it becomes quite difficult for the people to comprehend, especially when it goes against even the dictates of the Constitution itself. I mean, remember, I've always maintained, I wrote a piece on Facebook before I got here this morning. I have said that, yes, the AG has powers under Article 88 to file null prosequi and discontinue cases of, I mean, it's just interested that it only happens to be politically exposed individuals within the DC that they are discontinuing their case, not the general public. Of course, class system. All animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. The Supreme Court equality.
Oliver Bakavamo has stated that he's not a member of the NDC.
Well, you see, matters like this, I don't want to respond. I leave it to the jury to decide. I have not even seen the party membership card of any of them. So if that is a logic, I leave it to the jury to decide. But the point that I was emphasizing is that when we say that the AG does not owe explanation to Ghanaians, I mean, aside the fact that I feel it's very disrespectful because Ghanaians put them there, we must also understand that Article 88, which gives the same powers to the AG to file null prosequi and co, also at every point must be read in tandem, of course, with Article 23 and also Article 296, which talks about administrative bodies, how they can exercise their discretionary powers. Article 23, Article 296 talks about administrative bodies exercising their discretionary powers in fairness, in reasonableness, and not in arbitrary or capriciousness. For me, what has happened now, it is a clear violation of Article 23, Article 296 of the Constitution, where if no reason is offered, it means that the actions of the AG amounts to unfairness, unreasonableness, capriciousness, and arbitrariness. And that for me is dangerous for our democracy. We must not normalize certain precedents. Of course, I mean, if that is the logic, then the argument that anybody is advancing is that if today, Lily, if I am happen to be in office, or I mean in a government office, all what I have to do is that if I'm facing any prosecution, I have to just get my lawyers, employ or delay taxes, wait for 4 years to come. If my government comes into power, then we claim it. I'm not sure that is a Ghana that we want to build. I'm not sure that is the reset that we all spoke about. A reset, when you take a journey like this, withdraw cases of only the political class, of members within your party, and makes a U-turn that you are going to prosecute ABC. Well, I don't have a problem with prosecution because prosecution is not a life sentence, it's not a death sentence. It only means that you have questions to answer in a court of competent jurisdiction. I am mindful of the fact that it's going to delay you and other things. But you see, if you know the details of prosecution, there are some times that we may not just play politics and PR gimmick with it. Yesterday, I remember we were in one court in Bechele, where we were representing one of our clients. I mean, the judge did something that I was so excited. We were pushing for, quite far date. We were looking at coming to court. He said, no, the case has traveled over 1 year, and I insist that you must come here within the following 10 days. That was the judge. So you may get some judge who may be very firm in making decisions that will not delay cases, but other judges may also want the case to take in natural course. But if we are not very careful, what we are advancing and what we are pushing, and the precedent that will be set in Lily is that today and the next thing we hear is the case has been annulled. So we must do the balancing act and make sure that if indeed we are resetting well. We are not necessarily targeting only our politics, only through prosecutions. I am of the view that any comprehensive and detailed approach to fight corruption should include preventive measures. And my opinion has always been that if you genuinely want to fight corruption, you have to remove a lot of human interface from a lot of activities and things, so that when most of them are more or less digitized, or they are, you don't have, for instance, the passport system, you don't have a human interface in it. If you go to the port, you don't have a human interface. That is where genuinely and truly you are able to reduce corruption. But if you allow me to steal, let's say, $10 million, I can use just $1 million even alone to delay the case, wait for my government, and then my government will claim me. But of course, what is happening, I leave it to the jury out there. I leave it to Ghanaians to judge whether or not indeed the NDC is towing on any good cause. But for me, I'm of the view that you cannot approbate and reprobate. What essentially they are doing is a very dishonest.
All right. First and foremost, we need to understand the basis or the genesis of oral. Oral, first and foremost, found its way into our campaign promises or manifesto, if you want to call it. And that underscored the president's readiness to fight corruption to the letter. And they had only 3 major goals. 1 was to investigate, 2, go ahead and prosecute, 3, recover. And so this is the first phase that is just evidence gathering. I'm at a loss why the MPP is so further ruffled over this business of the oral's work. Indeed, we know that in order to go to court and prove anybody guilty, prove that somebody is guilty, is a tall order of evidence gathering. It's a tall order of proving beyond reasonable doubt that the person was actually involved in that matter. And I can give you examples. For instance, in their own period when Dapa was in court, Cicely Dapa was in court, they have had to do a few things and even came to tell us that there was not enough evidence to go ahead with the case. And so the Attorney General pulled out of the case. So it is not the case that the NDC has set out to free its members. Now, some of the cases that the Attorney General filed, the nolle prosequi or discontinuation of the case or whatever you want to call it, are not cases that even directly involve the NDC. For instance, the Fix the Country demonstrators were
Democracy Hub.
Yeah, they are not NDC as it were. I mean, we all know their identities. These are individuals, Ghanaians, who went on their agenda to be heard. Unfortunately, the government was high-handed at the time and decided to lock them up and all that. So it is not the case that the NDC set out to free its people, as the MPP want us to believe now. Number 2, a case like that of the current finance minister, for instance, went on appeal, and the judge threw it out after he got, his verdict. The government was unhappy and went to the appeals court, and that case was thrown out. So they know very well that some of these prosecutions that they initiated, is either 1, they didn't have enough evidence to back their claim, and therefore they had to go around in circles for a long time. And almost all these cases, all of them are about 6 years old. 6 years old in court, just over, for instance, let's talk about the Cocoa Board issue, Stephen Opuni's case. He's been in court for 7 years plus. And yet the government is unable to secure conviction because they themselves, by their own words, claim that they have found enough evidence to pin him down. It turns out that it has been a wild goose chase all these years. And for how long? Are you going to keep somebody in court just because you want to prosecute the matter of which you yourself have not been ready? Because there are times the judge had to subpoena some people to appear before the judge in evidence, to give evidence and all that, in this same Opuni's case. So indeed, it's not the case. The narrative the MPP seems to put out there that we are freeing our own people, it's neither here nor there. Why? Again, under our tenure, in our first term under President John Dramani Mahama, he was bold enough to take some of his own people to court. Some actually were jailed because of, suspected corruption at the time, and we cannot. And it's happened only under him for the first time that the president would take one of his own appointees to court to seek justice for this country. And I think that we should be commending the president for some of these. In any case, in criminal prosecutions, which he knows very well, that the case has been withdrawn, does not mean you cannot go back again. We have not been told yet, and I'm told that the Attorney General...
It depends on the stage that the withdrawal was made. If a prosecution has already finished his case, I mean, clearly acquittal will stand. But if they have not, then it will amount to a discharge, then it can be filed again. So it depends on the stage.
Okay, so on this case, for instance, The Attorney General is yet to, do a press conference, which we are all very expectant. Yeah, he's supposed to do a press conference. It could be by procurement breaches. It could be by acquiring of state assets. It could be by procurement breaches. It could be by acquiring of state assets, wrongly. It could also be by, direct corruption, misappropriation, or the one President Kufuor passed before leaving. Or the one President Kufuor passed before leaving. The act, what was it? Causing financial loss to the state. So indeed, willful. There are gamut of issues to be dealt with when it comes to this whole oral thing. I think, if you ask me, then people should be patient and watch how it's to pinpoint the issues, the ones that are ready.
Are you very certain that the report submitted by oral to the president included some members of the NDC?
That's why I said we would have to wait for oral for the Attorney General to make his press conference, and then we can ask some of these questions. Again, these presentations to the president vis-a-vis the Attorney General are not conclusive, because the committee, as it were by law, does not have all the investigative powers to prosecute anybody. What they are doing is rather to aid maybe the CID department in gathering more evidence. But this is more like a lead to what you should be looking at. So, giving a lead to somebody, again, the backstop, it is not to which hand the MPP, it is not to which hand any Ghanaian. It is rather to assure Ghana that when you are asked to serve in public or private service, you owe it a responsibility, a duty to this country to be honest, to have integrity, to be accountable, and above all, not to be corrupt. And this is the oath deal with corruption using the ANAS principle. What is the ANAS principle? Evidence gathering. Simple. And it's the same approach, if you ask me, in a more refined manner that is being used in the oral. And they have stated out some figures that if prosecutions were to go on, or if we were to recover some of these loots, we can recover some good things that have happened under their tenure, from PDS to Ejapa to all the others that you hear. Sometimes I think that it should be worrying for we young people to rather appreciate some of these things going forward. If we allow the older people to loot the states, get everything off our table as we speak, free SHS is being funded by not the Heritage Fund, the other one, what's the name?
Nobody has been able to prove
that. Okay.
Yeah, so alleged scandal.
Okay.
That's fine.
Mr. Johnson.
Wonder, when you use the word we young people, makes it look as if the old people are not interested in what's happening. I think you should rephrase it, Ghanaians. I don't think it's a question of young people only being interested. I think every Ghanaian is interested in the economy and how the economy has been handled. Let me ask a question. Maybe my counsel would also be able to help me on that. The members of ORA, did they swear an oath?
No.
They didn't swear an oath?
No, it was just a team.
Just a team?
Preparatory team.
Okay. That is where there could be a huge challenge going forward.
How so?
If some of the cases that Attorney General picks are not as dynamic as what the members of oral know. Because when you read what my good friend Martin Pebu said on City, and I quote, he says, "We know the petitions we submitted. How will the AG throw them away when he knows that I, Pebu, sat through, brought petitions and gathered some evidence? He won't get peace. Ablakwa